Responding to the strategy that Mercedes-Benz has employed with the E-Class, the 5 Series 2 is now a long wheelbase version for India. We recently brought you a walk-around video showcasing all the details of the exterior and the interior of the new 530 Li or the 5 Series long wheelbase. In this video, let's talk about how it drives. But do remember, this was a small 2-kilometer drive. So these are absolute early driving impressions. Now, despite the long wheelbase or anything, getting a judgment of this car shouldn't be a problem for your chauffeur. It is a long 5 Series, but if your chauffeur is well versed with luxury cars, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. The visibility all around quite good. Typical to BMW, the cabin is still driver-centric, but once you are behind the wheel, you realize that the overall visibility is actually quite good. So the engine here is a 2-liter 4-cylinder mated to the lovely 8-speed telepathic transmission, and we are already close to 100. Yeah, that was me driving in a very gingerly manner in the efficient driving mode. The engine puts out close to 255 PS, which is quite healthy. It may sound a little humble, but honestly, this is not supposedly a driver's car, right? This is the long wheelbase. It's all about the rear seat comfort. But despite that, these are some really healthy figures. The acceleration, as you'd expect, feels brisk, especially the in-gear acceleration feels quite brisk. So let's go into sport mode. And within that, in the settings, we are going to put the traction control on Sport Plus, drive trace is on Sport, the steering is on Sport. Let's see what the 0 to 100 timing is like. Put on the brake, acceleration, and off we go. Nice clean start. And that's 100 already. Superb. Right then, so let's just try this one more time. Now with the manual mode. So we have sport mode, we have traction control in sport handling. Let's just do this. We are at 150 already, and the vehicle, well, it feels planted. We are at 160, 170, and the vehicle just feels planted. It does sound pretty good too, and it is orchestrating a bit of that sound. So even if it's supposedly not a driver's car, it will still ensure that it fills up the cabin with some good sound, so that you still are reminded that despite the extra legroom, you're still in a BMW and not in some other luxury car. Now, the drive is a very limited one. It is on a single lane. You know, there is no real turns, no real corners, nothing of that sort. It's nice, smooth tarmac. So I can't really speak about the ride quality or the handling dynamics of the car. And that's precisely the idea of this particular review. It's just like a preview for you. But there are clear lane markings, and every time I'm swerving through that, it is sort of cautioning me with a nudge on the steering. So that is me knowing that the ADAS is working fine conditions. So ADAS obviously is something that is a talking point right now for a lot of cars. This being one of the apex luxury cars in its segment obviously gets all of that, and the overall safety features are right up there that you would expect in this particular price bracket. Now let me quickly demonstrate this long wheelbase. How easy is it to take a U-turn in a tight space? We've seen this in the past as well. We've seen it with the 7 Series. Despite that long wheelbase, despite being a car that is made for those who want to be in the back seat, BMWs have always had that edge when it comes to driving dynamics, high-speed stability, all of that. So I really want to see how the 5 Series behaves around the winding roads, but at least on the straight roads, high-speed stability, stability at triple-digit speeds, no problem at all. Lane changes at highway speeds shouldn't be a problem at all. Nothing really feels unnerving in that sense. But for now, let's hop into the rear seat and see how the rear seat comfort is. Wow, sitting cross-legged in the back of a 5 Series with enough room for someone in the front. Now that's a first, isn't it? And that's exactly what a lot of you probably have been waiting for with the BMW 5 Series, and now you get it with this model. So the overall comfort, really good. Now from the outside, when you see 18-inch wheels with such a long car, may look a little disproportionate. The design of the wheels is good, but the proportion seems a little bit wrong. But honestly, you're better off with those 18 inches because the kind of ride quality it should give you is really good. Now, on the roads that we are driving on, super smooth roads, single lane, not really changing too many lanes, not really subjecting the car to a lot of potholes, etc. But despite that, yeah, it doesn't seem to have that overly firm edge that we are known to have with BMW. So again, from a rear seat standpoint, a good thing to have. So those 18 inches, not a big worry for me. If you do want to upgrade, I'm sure BMW will give you choices with larger wheel sizes. Now, when they are going for it, when the driver is really going pedal to the metal, and let me remind you, we are in sport mode, it still doesn't feel floaty at the back. It still doesn't feel like it's going to give me any kind of motion sickness or anything. You're not really thrown into these soft pillows. It maintains its composure really nicely. So the way the suspension has been set up, though comfort is of primary importance here, it still makes sure that you still feel that you are sitting in a BMW while the rough edge has been taken off. So it's not just the wheels, but also the suspension that is tuned to that effect. And that is something that I really like. You're not really being thrown around in the car, and I quite like that feeling. You're still getting a bit of that enthusiasm coming to the rear seat as well. And that's something that you and your family should enjoy. So overall, pretty impressed. I quite like the seats. I like the bolstering. I like the fact that the seats extend all the way to the door. So even the shoulder room, the width, all of that feels nice, large and accommodating. So the 5 Series will not feel like a compromise at all now if you are going to be driven all the time. In terms of the visibility, honestly, this is the largest window that I've ever seen in a BMW 5 Series or anything this side of the 7 Series. Super view that you get outside of the windows. You are never really going to feel claustrophobic at all. That was one complaint that taller passengers usually had in the back of the 5 Series, that they felt a little claustrophobic. Here you're not going to feel that because you see the new 5 Series is also taller. Even the sunroof, it is much larger than what you've ever seen in a 5 Series. So the sense of roominess in the cabin is really good. That said, the sunroof does have a slightly opaque, a slightly dark tint to it, and that again gives you the feeling of roominess, but at the same time it doesn't let a lot of sunlight come in where it starts making you feel a little uncomfortable. So from that perspective, it's really good. Then you also have the sunroof blinders that can be opened either way. They can either be slid forward or backward. So whether it's just the rear seat passengers that want the glass and the front seat passengers want a complete roof on top of their head, you can opt to do that, or vice versa. So I think that's very thoughtfully done. This is the first time I'm seeing a sunroof blind open both ways or slide both ways. That's a big thumbs up. So overall, the sense of roominess is really good in this cabin. I quite like it. Now this is still internal combustion engine, right? So that's why you still have that transmission tunnel right here. So, and even in the electric variant, you still get the transmission tunnel. So getting a third adult back in here, not really going to be very comfortable even when this goes up. No, this is only good enough for a short passenger, maybe a kid, a teenager, etc. But smaller kids who are going to be in the child seat, that's going to be on the either ends of the car only. BMW India has opened the order books for the new 5 Series long wheelbase, and well, the vehicle, even with this short drive and this little walk around that we did, does feel quite promising. How it delivers on the price to performance ratio is something that we'll talk about when the vehicle is actually delivered to its customers, which should happen very soon, in time for the festive season.